Hey everyone, Golden Ninja 3000 here again. Today I'm back with another throwback review, this time for Harry Potter set number 10217 Diagon Alley. This released in January 2011 for 150 US dollars. It's got 2025 pieces and 12 minifigures, and I wanted this set so much when I was a kid. This was like one of my white whale sets, like one of the ones I just had to have, and I ended up buying it about 2.5 years ago on eBay, and I just never built it because I didn't have the time. So now it's finally assembled, and I'm really excited to take a look at it because to me, like, this was the coolest Lego set I could imagine when I was a kid. But the stuff we're getting today is just so much crazier, which is why I will be doing a comparison video with this versus the new Diagon Alley as well. Before we get into it, though, I do want to remind everyone that I am an employee of the LEGO Group. However, all opinions expressed in these videos are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the LEGO Group, and LEGO is a registered trademark of the LEGO Group of companies, which does not sponsor, authorize, or endorse this site. We'll start out by looking at the minifigures, but I'm not going to put them up on my usual rotating stand, because some of these colors have gotten pretty brittle over time. You'll notice on this set that a bunch of the reddish brown pieces just cracked as I was assembling it, and actually Hermione only has one leg, because while I built her, that one just snapped right off. So I don't want that to happen to Ron or, the Goblin, and even those dark orange pieces are seeming a little fragile. So we're going to start over here at the left with Hagrid and the trio. So let me just get that into position. This Hagrid from 2010, this is the one that I had, and as you can see, it's very different to the modern designs. He's larger than other figures, but he has some really, really weird quirks, like molded fingers, which kind of freaked me out when I was younger. But overall, I mean, he looks good, nice printing, exclusive, like, beard piece that is extremely, like, rubbery and thin. His face print looks a little bit weird, but maybe that's just because we never see Hagrid unshaven. He's got his pink umbrella as well as some molded detail at the back of his outfit. And he's also holding a key to a vault in Gringotts. This Harry is super nostalgic to me because he was in a bunch of sets. I think I remember him from like the Night Bus set. He's got that blue like casual torso, his old hairpiece, and then just the standard face. And as you can see, all of the wands are like these huge lightsaber blade pieces in reddish brown or in like tan. Actually, I don't know if you get different wand colors in this set because Hermione's I thought was usually tan, but maybe I'm misremembering them. Ron is also the version that I remember from 2010, so these figures are not exclusive. He's got his like regular red sweater, some reddish brown, so like I can't move his legs too much. Like you can see that they won't even like move forward and back, and I'm really afraid to because that's actually how Hermione's broke off. And he does get an alternate face too, which is scared because I guess Ron is just kind of always scared. Hermione, like I said, she only has one leg, so you can see right there where it fell off. There we go. So yeah, you can see that it just snapped right off because of how brittle the dark red became. So that is a little disappointing, but it's a known problem with reddish brown and dark red. This was an exclusive torso at the time, I believe. And again, the face print and hairpiece are just very nostalgic to me since it's what I grew up with. And I just have to really carefully balance her like back onto that leg. I feel so bad that she's one-legged now. But now we're getting into the exclusive figures, and these are ones that I was really excited for. So you got Fred and George Weasley, and no, I don't know which one is which, but this one came with the Daily Prophet, and the face print was the same on both figures, but I really wanted these figures when I was younger because I wanted more members of the Weasley family. And as you can see, they both have the exact same outfit and the exact same face print because they're twins, and so this one is holding a chocolate frog. But I think that they look really good, especially for figures from 2011. Like, I feel like they're almost up to modern standards, whereas some of the other ones, like Ollivander, in my opinion, look a bit dated. So Ollivander, I like the torso a lot, but again, it just feels like less finely detailed than what we would see now. And same for his like face print and hairpiece. He's using the exact same hairpiece as Harry, though, in a light bluish gray, and I don't think that piece was reused often. And he's holding the Marauders map. That does not seem right. I feel like I might have given these guys the wrong pieces because I definitely thought that the Weasley twins were holding the Marauders map. So I think Ollivander is supposed to be holding the Daily Prophet. So sorry about that. But you can see he does have a tiny little bit of back printing. If, again, I could just get the camera to focus. And he does have a scared alternate face to recreate his kidnapping by the Death Eaters, which I do think is a little bit dark. And then we got two goblins, which used the same mold from 2001, but these were also really interesting to me when I was younger. They are unprinted, so they are a little bit creepy, and I definitely prefer the ones that we got this year, like with Gringotts, and they didn't have any back printing. So these guys definitely felt outdated even in 2011. And then if we just move it all the way over, you can see the other goblin, which has the exact same torso print and head, but is holding a key to a vault. And then lastly, we've got a couple of Death Eaters. So we have Lucius Malfoy, who I think was a great figure for the time. I love his cape, love his printing. His hairpiece is old but good. And does he have any back printing? I don't think he does. Nope. Plain black torso, old style cape, but I really loved this alternate face on him, which wasn't exclusive, but it's just a Death Eater mask. And you also get a hood. So what I loved about this is I already had a Lucius Malfoy minifigure, so when I was younger, I was like, oh, if I get this set, I can just make him a generic Death Eater. And that's actually replicated in the 2023 Gringotts set, because you do actually get a generic Death Eater there. So I think that that's pretty cool. And then lastly, we have Fenrir Greyback, who is a very hairy minifigure, maybe the hairiest minifigure we've ever gotten, but I do like his face print, and then his alternate face is also mean. This set was so cool to me as a kid because it was like the ultimate Harry Potter playset. It was the biggest Harry Potter set that had ever been made, I think the only direct-to-consumer one, and I just remember staring at it with amazement at like a Lego store in Prague and just wanting it so badly. And I never ended up getting it because, I mean, I think I made some other choices, like I wanted the Portal of Atlantis set instead, but it all works out because now I have it. So it consisted of Nocturne, or not Nocturne Alley, but Borgin and Burkes from Nocturne Alley. So actually a third of the set isn't even part of Diagon Alley. You get Gringotts Wizarding Bank, which I still think looks really, really nice today. And then Ollivanders. And these are really, really different builds from what we saw in 2020 and 2023 with the modular building style Diagon Alley, because these are all like standalone buildings, and they have some unique quirks that I really like, particularly with Gringotts, which can actually fold up. But before we get into the actual buildings, I want to take a look at all of the small stuff that you get in the set as well. All of the little side builds in this set really contribute to making the alley feel a little bit more bustling than it actually is, because it references other shops that would be in the alley, but then just weren't in the scope of this set. So you've got Elop's Owl Emporium represented by the owls, and at least I think it's supposed to be Elop's. You've got the owls and the bat, and you get all three colors of owl that were produced in 2011, which is, again, really awesome. And there's actually another brown owl in this set that you'll see on top of Gringotts. And I do like this little perch build. And then this little sign that says owls, bats, and cats is directly lifted from the movies, because you can actually see this exact same, or no, sorry, this is supposed to be Magical Menagerie, because you can see this exact same design in the new Gringotts Wizarding Bank set. So I think that that's awesome. You also get a little Wizarding Hats stand that is a sticker, and so is the other decoration. I think all of the decoration in this set are stickers. I mean, you have those printed tiles with the minifigures, but I really love these colors for Wizard Hat because I had never seen them before. And I don't think they were new at all. I think that these originated in the castle theme, like in the 90s and early 2000s, but to get them in a Harry Potter set was really cool. And then you also had a little cauldron sale going on, so that would be Pottage's Cauldron Shop. And I mean, these are really basic signs, but they work perfectly. And then this is the old large style cauldron mold, which I don't even think we see anymore. And you do have the fish there, because nowadays, like, that little pot mold is used for cauldrons. But you also had a couple of street lights, which I really love because they are quite ornate, I think, for Lego street lights. They're built up really nicely, and then like the cone design in the centers just make them look fancy. And so does like the little ornament on top, and so does like the red plates tilted at an angle. And those did crack as I put them on. But yeah, I just think that they add a lot of flair to the street with a very minimal use of parts. So I really like all of these little side builds. Diagon Alley would not be complete without Ollivanders, and you do get a really nice rendition of it here. which is much like bigger in some ways than the version in 2020. And so it feels almost magnified, but in a way that I think is really cool. Like, I really love the way that the bay windows were assembled. They're not quite as curved as I think they should be technically, but they look really great, especially for the time. And then just the color scheme with the black and the gold on the bottom floor, and then the sand green and tan trim going up to the dark blue roofs. It's much more colorful than what we see nowadays because I think it's going less for accuracy and more for the vibes, which I love. You know, that's exactly how a playset should be, because the newer Diagon Alley isn't really a playset. It's more of like an adult collector's item, even though, you know, kids can still play with it. But on the ground floor, I do really like just the decorations on, like around the windows, like with all the gold studs. So let me actually bring this closer because no, I can zoom. I was like, why isn't the zoom working? But no, the zoom is working. So here we go. Yeah, I like the little Ollivander sign just buried in there between the windows. The gold trim is nice. I also like just that brick built detail. The door just has a brown doorknob. And then going up, I really like the appearance that just these really basic 2x2 round plates give. Really love the profile bricks in sand green. And then I really like this assembly made using a couple of sextant parts to have a hanging lamp. I think that that looks perfect. And then going around the sides, on the top floor, you do have a little window on this side, some sand green cones, and the roofs, like I said, dark blue, pretty nicely shingled, and I like how they kind of come out to a point over the fronts of the windows. And I also like how the second floor juts out over the first. You have a little awning on this side, and you can actually put the cauldrons like here, like they're being sold. And so again, I like that. You know, it's like Pottages has a pop-up next to Ollivanders because they know that it's a high traffic area where a lot of wands are sold. And then spinning this thing around to the other side, the top floor is the exact same, but on the ground floor you have a little wanted poster for a wizard, which I think looks really cool. And then there is the other window. As for the interior, you do get not a full 2 stories, but it is 2 stories. You know, like there's a lot of rooms in here. And I think the 2021's a lot better, but I should probably be saving some of these comparisons for that comparison video. So first off, I like the decoration with the gold bars over the door. Hopefully it's not too dark in here, but you do have a nicely built up desk for Ollivander, and on top it's got a copy of the Quibbler, but this actually has a play feature where if you hit this little like pin that's sticking out, you can launch the top of the desk up, and that completely got lost. But I think that that's supposed to represent like Harry misfiring his wand, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a nice reference. And then you have a ladder going up to the second level, but in like the bay windows on the ground floor, you have some wands, which are just stickered boxes. So there were no like physical small wand pieces at this time, but the stickered boxes work pretty well. Obviously the door can open. And you do have more underneath the ladder over here. And this ladder doesn't move around, but I think it looks really great going up the side here. And then there's a bunch of bottles. So I don't know why Ollivander has what looks to be potion bottles, but that's what's in the first bay window. Then you get this nice little area with the whips and a couple more wands on shelves. And then you have a whole box full of wands. So I was right, you do get multiple colors of wands in this set. So I think this is like every color that was available for the wands in 2010/2011. You had white for Voldemort, tan for Dumbledore, black for the villains like Lucius Malfoy, Draco, and then a light gray, which I remember being used on Arthur Weasley. So, I mean, I honestly liked the wands at the time. You know, I didn't have a problem with them. Like, I think in retrospect, some adults did have an issue with them, but I didn't know about that because, I mean, I was just a kid. But yeah, I really like that you get all of the available colors in this one set. So you can still have people coming in and shopping, even though like the actual wand boxes don't have anything in them. There is a little bit of wasted space back there in the window, and that's a big difference that I think with older sets, because I think today that window space would be filled up with more detail, even if it was just stacked wand boxes with nothing in them. And here is a quick look at the top of Ollivander's desk with that Quibbler print with Harry on it. There we go. Now it's focusing. So I like that Ollivander is holding a Daily Prophet and has a Quibbler on his desk because it shows that he gets his news from a variety of sources, which is always important. Moving over to Borgin and Burkes, this is actually my favorite building in the set, I think, just because it's so unique with its architectural style. And it's not something we had seen before in Lego form, and it's nothing what we've seen since from Harry Potter. In fact, I feel like the next step for the big Diagon Alley display is to go into Nocturne Alley and do a modular style Borgin and Burkes in 2024 or some other time in the future. I love the color scheme here with the black and the dark green. It looks really, really cool. I also really like all of the subtle details, like the little architectural details, especially with these like 1x2 plates with the bar, the segmented bar. I think that that adds a really nice look. And again, that dark green, I think it just really contrasts well with the black. And I love that little skeleton that's peeking through the bay window in the front. And I do love a good bay window. And I like the ones on Borgin, or the one on Borgin and Burkes, better than the one on Ollivanders because it's a little bit more rounded. We have some more like profile bricks at the bottom and then some nicely detailed corners using some cylinder pieces. And then I really, really like this area at the top with like the big kind of trellis and then rounded skylight. But we'll take a closer look at that in just a second, because first I want to show you guys the sign that says Borgin and Burkes, and that to me is really, really perfect. But moving back to the trellis, I love that like decorated archway piece. I believe that's supposed to be grapes represented by the purple studs. And then on top, you just have like, again, a really nicely built skylight. And this whole thing can actually open up to kind of reveal the architectural detail on top, which is just made with some Technic pieces. So it's really basic, but I think that it looks great and really creates a unique look for this part of the building that was very different, I think, from any other Lego sets at the time. At the side of the building, you can just see some more like profile detail, but you do have another little bulletin board with a bunch of notices on it, which looks cool. And then the other side has actually a little play feature. So we'll look at that once we get in. The last thing I want to show you guys before we go into the interior is the top, which just has a rat. And then there's like a little piece of like ooze or something in there. That's actually a glow in the dark tile, and it's a transparent green. And you can see more of them lining the roof up here, and there are even some inside. So I'll take you guys through the interior and then show you the glow in the dark features, because that was a huge surprise with the set. It's a very rare color and piece apparently, and I wish it was still in use today because it's really awesome. So the interior of Borgin and Burkes doesn't have a ton of detail, but you do have that skeleton in the window surrounded by the trans glow-in-the-dark tiles, and you have a fireplace over here. So I guess it's supposed to be a flue fireplace because you can put a minifigure inside. So I'll just go ahead and grab Fenrir Greyback because I've got him around. So if you put him in the fireplace, you can spin this chimney on top. This part just kind of rotates, and if I go back to Fenrir, I can just, oh, his hand is in the way. But the idea is that you can just spin him around, and okay, he's not fitting. But yeah, you can spin him around, and then he'll come out the other side. So I guess he needs to be all the way back here, but then he starts to knock into the flames a little bit. But yeah, you can spin him around, and then he can travel by flue powder. So that's cool. There was a flue powder function in the Burrow set as well in 2010, but that one worked differently. So I think that it's nice to get two different functions. You also have the vanishing cabinet, and this was super iconic or nostalgic to me because we had one of these in the 2010 Hogwarts Castle set, which was like the first big Lego set I saved up for. And this is the exact same build because there were sister vanishing cabinets in Half-Blood Prince. So I think that that's really cool. You can just fit a minifigure inside. I'm not even going to put him down this time, but it just closes him up. And these things actually work. These work as actual vanishing cabinets because you can do what I did, which is put a minifigure in there, close it, forget about the minifigure, not find it in your bag of minifigures, and then you go open up the cabinet to put a different minifigure in it, and then you find the one that you lost like a year ago. So that's what happened to me with Draco Malfoy in like 2012, and I always thought that that was really funny. But yeah, this to me is just a really nice little build. I love the shiny studs on it. I think the light bluish gray obviously ruins the color scheme a little bit, but it almost looks purposeful to me. Even though the cabinets do not have any kind of gray sections, I think that at least they're symmetrical, and I think it looks kind of nice. You can just remove this from the corner too. So here is a bit of a better look at it. A lot of these brown pieces were cracking as well. Like you can see some cracks on the headlight bricks, but we'll talk more about the cracking when we get to Gringotts. But that's the space that's left behind by the cabinet inside Borgin and Burkes. The last little bit of interior space is up here in the skylight. You just have a little opening, so you can have Harry, Ron, and Hermione like be sneaking around the roof and then going inside, or like seeing Draco do experiments with the vanishing cabinet, just like they did in Half-Blood Prince. So I think that that is pretty awesome. But now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the glow in the dark functionality. So I've got my UV flashlight here. I'll use that to charge up the tiles, but actually you can see that they're really responding to the glow and just how cool that looks with the skeleton. And if I zoom this out a little bit so you can see up top, it's really, really awesome. Like this color, this piece. I thought I knew everything about this set because I had wanted it for so long, but I had no idea that these glow-in-the-dark parts were even a thing. So I'm gonna see if it lights up the skeleton a little bit ghostly if I turn off the lights. And okay, I mean, you can see like a little bit of glow coming up from the skeleton. But I mean, yeah, these pieces work pretty well. I found that they hold a lot of charge, especially compared to like the more modern, like off-white glow-in-the-dark pieces that we see in Lego sets. But yeah, you've even got a couple of them in here. It's just really, really awesome to see these things glow in the dark. It's a really nice feature that I think is added to this building and just makes it even cooler. Of course, the largest building in this set is Gringotts Wizarding Bank, and I always thought that this looked really good. You do have the wonky columns from the movies represented here, even though they aren't like tilting every which way like they are in the new set. But they're still very clearly like Ionic Roman columns, so I think that that's awesome. Like they're very well built. You also have like a couple of small balconies here, and a lot of nicely brick-built detail on the sides of the building for the time. Because I mean, it's way better on the 2023 set, but I think that this is pretty well detailed for the time. So we can go ahead and take a closer look in just a second, but first I want to show you guys how it closes up. So this is like the unfolded look for it. And if I spin this around, you can see the interior, which again, we'll take a look at more in a second. But this whole thing just closes straight up so you can make it the only enclosed building in Diagon Alley. And I think that that's really cool because, I mean, it still looks good. I think obviously it looks better when it's folded out, but this is more movie accurate, like with just the entryway. And this also makes it a little bit easier to display if you don't have the room for like a bigger building. Then this kind of collapses it to be half the footprint of Borgin and Burkes and Ollivanders, maybe a little bit more than half, but it just makes it a lot more smaller and more manageable. But starting with the entryway, you can see that the sign over here has the same problem as the 2023 set, where it says Gringotts Bank, like there's the divide between the T's, but it's not an issue here. Like here, it's not really noticeable at all because the stickers line up so well, but it is a problem on the 2023 set. But I do really like the kind of carpeted red entryway, although I guess technically there should be steps. You can also just push the doors open to enter, and I was really afraid that those doors would break, but I am glad that they did not. I mean, while building, I knew, or rather I hoped that they wouldn't break right now. But yeah, I do like the big entryway. I think that it's very grand. Like I said, you do have some nice brick-built detail on the sides with some studs on the side building, with those tiles facing out. You've got a bunch of windows with little bars for the doorway, a little bit of gray poking through there, but for the most part, the colors on the exterior are very well done. And then you have little lamps built with pirate sextant pieces that match the style of lamp hanging outside of Ollivanders, so I like that. I also really like these windows that are like kind of barred like a dungeon, because I guess this is like the back of Gringotts when it's folded up, so that could be like where the vaults are. So that's a nice window piece, although you can see that most of the window frames are cracked. You have regular windows on the second level, and then you can see some actually really bad cracking right here where the entire front part of this window piece just broke straight off. So that is disappointing. Oh, and this one is also super cracked right there, so that could come off at any time. But I do like the general appearance of this window, and like the gold grates are a nice touch. I also do like the little touches on top with these bricks, and here is a better look at this balcony. And actually, I guess I should kind of tilt it forward for you guys, but you can see that you have enough room to put like a minifigure or two there. But it might be kind of hard to get them to stand on the studs because then they would have their backs pushed right up against the wall. And the two sides of the building are symmetrical, so you're not really missing anything there. The roof is pretty well done though, because you can put some minifigures up here as well. You can see it's a little bit wobbly, but it's not like it's going to break or anything. You've got another owl here, which is great to see. And then you have the Gringotts skylight. So when it's opened up like this, you aren't really getting the full effect. But then when the bank is closed, that is just a really nice look. And again, I think a pretty nice technique for 2011 to have the full skylight up there. As for the interior, let's go ahead and take a look. I want to start at the top where we have a beautiful hanging chandelier. This doesn't really look like the big crystal ones in the actual bank that I think were pretty well represented in the new set, but you can kind of spin it a little bit and it can swing from side to side, and I think it looks good for the time. Again, it's a playset, so it's going more for like the vibe than total accuracy, so I'm just glad that we got a big lamp hanging from anywhere. But this building isn't really 2 stories, as you can see. There's no second level. It's kind of just a big grand atrium, which is fine, but I mean, there's not even a but, because if you didn't have the grand atrium, it wouldn't feel like Gringotts. So there wasn't really room to include a second level. So, I mean, I get it, but I'm really glad that the new version does have a proper second level. You do get little portraits of wizards up here, so I don't know if they're supposed to be any specific characters, but you've got one on the left and one on the right. And then you do have like torches sitting on the sides of the walls. But the interior for this one is pretty empty. I do think Ollivanders has the best interior in this set, and Borgin and Burkes gets a level up because of the glow in the dark parts, but Gringotts, I think maybe best exterior, although I really like Borgin and Burkes as well, but weakest interior. Because all you really have is like a clip on the wall and then a little goblin desk. And there is a stool back there, but I mean, there's no room for a goblin to sit at this table and on the stool. I guess you can move this piece a little bit more forward, like just move it up by 1 stud, but I mean, this is how the instructions say to do it, and with the way the instructions say, there's no room for the goblin to sit. There's also nothing on the paper that they're writing on, so I think that that was a missed opportunity for a sticker. And then on the other side, you do have a vault, which is cool, but it's a really, really basic build. Like, even for 2011, I feel like this could have looked better because it's just so flat and boring. Like, there's no colors, there's no textures. I mean, you can put a key into that lock, so I guess that that's nice because all you have to do is just take a goblin and then kind of stick it right in. But there's no suggestion of like the tunnel system, there's no minecart or anything. So it just feels a little bit out of place to have such a huge heavy safe sitting in the middle of the way. But if you open it up, you can see that there's some detail in there. There is the Sorcerer's Stone, which is a giant crystal. And then there's some gold coins, which are the older, like kind of Lego pirate style with the chrome finish. And those are really nice to see because those aren't made anymore, and I do miss chrome pieces. Here are the extra pieces for this set. I checked on Bricklink, and all of these like blue pins and tiles and everything are genuine extras. So just kind of strange because you don't usually get so many large extra parts. And I think that these are part of like the window frames that broke off. I bought this set without the box because it was cheaper that way, although the bags were still sealed. So here are the instruction manuals, which did have this same design as the front of the box, and this is just so beautiful. I wish I had gotten it in the box, but it was like $100 more expensive in the box, and I just really cared about the new parts. So really nice box design that, you know, was the 2011 style with the red, and then Harry, Ron, and Hermione looking like real grumpy in the corner there. And then, you know, old style manual, so you have the faded image of them, and the blacks were not outlined in white, so it was a little bit hard to tell the colors sometime. On the back of this one, you just have the win ad, but other than that, it's just building steps. And on the third one is where you get the other ads, so you have the 2010 Harry Potter sets. This is my childhood right here. Like, that's the Hogwarts castle that I saved up for. I got that that Hogwarts Express and that Hagrid's Hut set for Diwali in like 2010, I think. So yeah, just very, very iconic to me. Lego Club ad, and then at the back here you do have some of these insets that would have been on the back of the box at the time, showing some of the play features and stuff like that. I do think this set was fantastic for its time. I think it had a lot of great detail with the architectural styles of the buildings, and the minifigures I think were pretty cool because I think 7 of them are exclusive. You know, you've got Fred and George, Hermione, the 2 goblins, that's already 5, Ollivander, that's 6. So 6 exclusive minifigures. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty perfect. I always loved this set, even, you know, up until the new Diagon Alley was revealed. And then the new one came out, and I was like, oh, that's a huge upgrade. but this one didn't feel like it needed a huge upgrade, at least not to me, and maybe that's just the nostalgia talking, but I still think it's a really cool set. It's clearly dated at this point. Like, I mean, you can definitely tell that this is a Lego set from 12, 13 years ago, but I still love it. I still really, really like it. The only disappointing thing about building it after all these years was all of the reddish brown, like, shattering as I did so. Hopefully that problem will be fixed in the future, but that is the biggest issue with just building older sets. But yeah, I mean, even like Borgin and Burkes really surprised me with those glow-in-the-dark tiles, and that was just so nice because I didn't think a set I had been pining after for like half my life could really surprise me like that. So I will be doing a comparison video with this against the older or the newer Diagon Alley, and I will be putting this on my display shelf right next to the new Diagon Alley, and I really hope that we see an update to Borgin and Burkes and some areas of Nocturne Alley in a future set as well. If you guys want to buy this set today, I think it costs around $500 new in box. I paid, I think, like 380 or 400 for it with sealed bags and no box, which is definitely high because I remember it being like 350 in 2017 in the box, which was a much better price, but I just waited too long to buy it. So that's definitely on me, but I also waited too long to build it, so it's kind of par for the course. I think it's worth it if you're a huge Harry Potter fan who's always wanted it, like me, but I mean, it's totally up to you, because I do think that today's Diagon Alley set is much, much higher quality, and I'll talk about that more in my comparison. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and check out my website, goldenninja3000.com, and I'll see you guys with more videos soon. Bye for now.